Chapter 571. The word shrew irritated Mrs. Hua. Do you think I'm a shrew now? Why didn't you think I was a shrew when you married me? That's because I was blind. I didn't see you clearly. Hua Qihan suppressed dissatisfaction during this period of time gushed out because of Mrs. Hua's question. I used to think that you were gentle and magnanimous. Even if you couldn't help me with my business, at least you could let me have no worries about my family. And the result? You're as stupid as a pig. You only know how to yell when you're in trouble. You have no manners at all. No wonder you raised such a good-for-nothing son. He's a disgrace to me. Mrs. Hua was already angry. She didn't expect Hua Qihan to mention their son at this time, and in such a tone. This reminded her of the day when Hua Xiaofeng was injured and hospitalized. Hua Qihan was also indifferent. He didn't stay to take a good look at his son before he left. Could it be that at that time, he was already thinking of this? Hua Fu's anger rushed to his head again. Son? Xiaofeng is my son. Isn't he your son? You despise him now? Who was the one who flaunted him around like a treasure in the early years? Half of Xiaofeng's genes are yours. He's a good-for-nothing. Isn't it because he has a useless father? You what? Any man couldn't stand a woman calling herself a good-for-nothing, especially a male chauvinist like Hua Qihan. He was also angry at the moment. He pointed at Mrs. Hua and scolded, "Don't forget who raised you all these years. You, a parasite raised by me for more than 20 years, have the nerve to call me a good-for-nothing. You're worse than a good-for-nothing. Hua Qihan, you bastard." Hua Qihan didn't want to talk to her anymore. He pointed at the door and shouted, "I've had enough. You're an unreasonable shrew. Get out of here now. I'll ask my secretary to send you the divorce certificate. Sign it immediately. We'll divorce." Divorce. Shui Xiaofeng, who was hiding behind Hua Qihan, heard this and her eyes lit up. She couldn't help but smile. Divorce? Mrs. Hua's vision went dark when she heard those two words. She couldn't help but tremble. This man wanted to divorce her? They had been husband and wife for more than 20 years. In the end, she was scolded as a shrew. Her son was incompetent. This man wanted to divorce her for a woman outside? Why? Hafro's face twisted for a moment. Especially when he saw the smile on Shui Xiao's face, he lost his last bit of rationality. You want to divorce me? Let me tell you, no. Back then, you were the one who begged me to marry you. Now that you have another woman, you want to kick me aside? Let me tell you, it's easier to invite the devil, SSS divorce Mises and tease a woman, teat, s he's a s. T, tstes. SM, s haves tst have, teat hua, tt, s, ssss as to s hua, s was. Hua Qihan reacted quickly. He grabbed Hua Fu's and pushed him away. Mrs. Hua staggered. When she was about to step forward, she heard Shui Xiaofeng's loud cry, "Child, Brother Han, child, my stomach hurts." Chapter 572. Mrs. Hua was shocked and looked at the woman sitting on the ground in disbelief. She just had a child? Whose child was it? This woman was pregnant with her husband's child? Mrs. Hua missed the opportunity because she was too shocked. When Hua Qihan heard that something had happened to his child at an old age, he did not bother to argue with Mrs. Hua. He picked up Shui Xiao and ran out. When he passed by Mrs. Hua opened her mouth to speak, but Hua Qihan knocked her away. Her stomach hit the cabinet at the side, and her face turned pale with pain. All the things that happened in the family Hua were reported by the informants that Hua Chenhuan had placed around the family Hua. Su Yiyan was a little confused when she learned about it. Hua Qihan cheated and had a child with another woman? Mrs. Hua almost aborted the child when she went to catch them in the act. Now Hua Qihan wants to divorce her? My, it's really a big show. Hua Chenhuan looked at his wife's expression that said, "What a pity that I wasn't there." She couldn't help laughing. What happened later? Did the child in your wife's belly survive? Almost. Of course, it survived. But I suspect. What? That woman must have deliberately fallen. Deliberately fell? Su Yiyen was stunned for a moment and soon understood Hua Chenhuan's meaning. You mean that the woman deliberately faked the fall to frame Mrs. Hua, so as to provoke the conflict between Hua Qihan and his wife? It's possible. That's too cruel. What if it's really gone? Hua Chenhuan's eyes were cold and she sneered. This child is her hope of entering the family Hua. She won't be so careless. Even if it's really gone, who do you think Hua Qihan will hate? Of course, it's Mrs. Hua. Su Yiyen couldn't help but feel a little cold. In order to win Hua Qihan's affection, in order to enter the family Hua, she would even use her own flesh and blood. Rao's bottom line was always lower than you could imagine. Every time you felt that what you had seen and heard was shocking enough, there would always be someone or something that would further refresh your understanding of human nature. No wonder they didn't have time to find trouble with us. Their family is probably in a state of chaos right now, right? I really want to see it with my own eyes. It must be very exciting. Su Yiyen seemed to have thought of something and sneered, but if we really want to think about it, a crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. Hua Xiaofeng is like this, and his father is also like this. Now that his father divorced his mother for the sake of those three, he, the former young master of the family Hua, will probably be kicked out of the house along with his mother. I wonder how he feels right now. Thinking of the chaotic situation the family Hua was in, Su Yiyen couldn't help but chuckle. It was really satisfying. He's really not doing well now. Su Yiyen snorted coldly and said sarcastically, his father cheated on his mother, divorced his mother, kicked them out of the house, and even gave birth to a younger brother for him. How can he be doing well? It's not just because of this. Su Yiyen was stunned, and then her eyes lit up. Is there anything else? What else is there? Hurry up. Hua Chenhuan's lips curled slightly, and her eyes were full of gloating. He encountered the same thing as his mother. The same thing as his mother. Didn't his mother just? Su Yiyen's words suddenly got stuck in her throat, and her eyes widened in disbelief. You mean, Hua Xiaofeng was cheated on? Chapter 573. Hua Chenhuan met Su Yiyen's excited eyes and couldn't help but pat her head. Yes, he's been cheated on. Su Yiyen was still very shocked. The world's female lead had cheated on the world's male lead. Although the female lead in the original novel was a flirtatious butterfly who flirted with the supporting male leads everywhere and had a lot of spare tires, she didn't really cheat on the male lead. Now that Hua Chenhuan had said so, it was highly likely that the woman had already made the green man a reality. What's going on? Who did Wen Jingping hook up with this time? Does Hua Xiaofeng know about this? Hua Chenhuan didn't directly answer Su Yiyen's first few questions. Instead, he chose to answer the last one. I don't know yet. After today, I'll know. Su Yiyen glanced at him in surprise, her face full of doubt. As if to prove Hua Chenhuan's words, Hua Xiaofeng finally removed the cast on his hand in the afternoon. Looking at his fingers, which were much less sensitive than before, his face was so gloomy that it could drip water. At this time, his mother ran in crying from outside. There was a bright red handprint on her face. Although Hua Xiaofeng was a scumbag and self-righteous, he still cared a lot about his mother who had always doted on him. Seeing this, Hua Xiaofeng's face suddenly changed. He hurried to Mrs. Hua and said angrily, Mom, what's wrong with you? Who hit you? Mrs. Hua had completely lost her backbone. She hugged her son and burst into tears. Hua Xiaofeng didn't know what had happened. He hugged her and comforted her for a while. Mrs. Hua finally calmed down a little. She looked at her son and wanted to say something, but stopped. Hua Xiaofeng had already lost his patience. He said anxiously, What's going on? Who hit you? Hurry up. I'm here. I'll help you vent your anger. Mrs. Hua heard him and became even sadder. Fortunately, she still had a son. She still had hope. Otherwise, it's your father. My dad? Hua Xiaofeng was shocked. Why would my dad hit you? Hua Xiaofeng seemed to have hit a switch, causing Hafureo's face to twist. That's right, why would he hit me? Of course it's because he already has another woman outside and doesn't want to live a peaceful life with me anymore. Another woman? This sentence was like a blow to Hua Xiaofeng's head, hammering him into a daze. Mom, did you misunderstand Dad? How could he? What misunderstanding? I saw it with my own eyes. He bought a house outside to live with that woman. He didn't go home recently because he was accompanying that B*TCH. That woman is already pregnant with his child. It's been more than a month. They must have hooked up a long time ago. What kind of misunderstanding could there be? Mrs. Hua's eyes were red. She couldn't help but grit her teeth at the thought of that woman. She had thought that Hua Qihan's affair was enough to drive her crazy. Who would have thought that not only did he have another woman, but he also had a child with that woman? Thinking of how Hua Qihan had pointed at her nose and scolded her for giving birth to a useless son, Mrs. Hua understood that Hua Qihan was ready to give up on her and her son and help that mistress and her son rise to the top. Hua Xiaofeng was also stunned. For more than 20 years, he had been the only son and had always been told that he was the only heir of the Hua Corporation. The Hua Corporation would definitely be his in the future. But now, his father had found another woman outside and had another child. Then he... Chapter 574. Hua Xiaofeng's face was as pale as paper. He grabbed Hua Fureo's hand and asked, Mom, how could this happen? Hasn't Dad always had a good relationship with you? Why did he suddenly? Hua Xiaofeng was fine, but Hua Fureo couldn't stop her tears from flowing down. Was her relationship with Hua Qihan good? Perhaps. At least in the eyes of outsiders, they had a happy family, a harmonious couple, and a son who was excellent in all aspects. But in fact, Hua Xiaofeng's character had become like this, and Hua Qihan had an unshirkable responsibility. Because he was not capable, he hated others for being incompetent. After becoming the head of the Hua group, he had lost self-awareness because of the flattery around him. He used to feel inferior, but now he was arrogant. Hua Qihan still had the nerve to say that she had given birth to a useless son for him. She saw that this useless gene came from him. Over the years, she had been able to endure this man's self-righteous chauvinism. On the one hand, it was because she had feelings for him, and he was well-behaved and never stepped on her bottom line. On the other hand, it was because his family background could bring her and her child a good life. She was reluctant and did not dare to give up such a life. But now, Hua Xiaofeng saw that she was crying and did not speak. He frowned slightly and thought carefully. Soon, he found a reasonable reason for Hua Qihan's infidelity. It must be that woman who deliberately seduced him. That woman must know who Dad is and that he has a lot of money, so she deliberately seduced him. If that was the case, that woman now had a child, which was a great threat to him. He had been driven out of the Hua group. If this woman gave birth to a son, would his father hand over the Hua group to him in the future? No, it was impossible. The Hua group was his and could only be his. He could not let this nameless illegitimate son take away what belonged to him. What happened to Dad? He and that woman. What else? He wanted to divorce me, and slapped me. Shui Xiao had been complaining about a stomachache after she fell, but in fact, it was nothing serious. Knowing that his son was fine, Hua Qihan was relieved and finally in the mood to trouble Hua Fureo. He had slapped Mrs. Hua across the face the moment they met, completely destroying the last bit of extravagant hope that they had for each other. Divorce. Hua Xiaofeng exclaimed. You can't divorce her. You can't divorce her. Mrs. Hua was startled by his sudden raised voice. She stared at him blankly, not knowing what to do. Hua Xiaofeng choked. When he came back to his senses, He held Hua hand tightly and said earnestly, "Mom, you can't divorce Dad. He has another woman and another child now. Once you divorce him, he will definitely drive us out. Do you really want that woman to live in our house, use our things, and enjoy the life that originally belonged to us?" Mrs. Hua pursed her lips, her eyes filled with resentment. Seeing her like this, Hua Xiaofeng continued to fan the flames. "Mom, you are the rightful Mrs. Hua of the family Hua, and I am the rightful young master of the family Hua. As long as you don't divorce, you will always be the mistress of the family Hua. Who does that woman think she is? Even if she can give birth to the child, it will be an illegitimate son who can't be seen in public. But if you divorce her, we will really have nothing. It is almost like giving up everything that should belong to us to that B***TCH and her son. Are you willing to accept this?" Chapter 575. Hua Fiuk was indignant. Just like Hua Xiaofeng, when she first married into the family Hua was already a giant. Hua Qihan's parents were not very satisfied with her. In order to marry Hua Qihan, she took the initiative to ask for a prenuptial agreement. She only married Hua Qihan after dividing the prenuptial assets. After that, Hua Qihan had never thought of giving her anything like a house or shares. This was also the reason why Mrs. Hua had a subtle expression when Su Yiyan showed off in front of them that Hua Chenhuan had transferred 10% of the Hua Corporation's shares to her. If she divorced Hua Qihan now, she would get nothing and would be kicked out of the family. "Yes, I can't get a divorce. As long as I don't get a divorce, I'm still Mrs. Hua. No one can kick me out. So what if that woman is pregnant? Her child was also born as an illegitimate child with no title or status. Mom, you're right to think that way. Even if it's not for me, you must not get a divorce for your own sake. But your father, what's wrong with my father? He's in the wrong for having an affair. How can he force you to get a divorce?" Hua Xiaofeng's eyes flashed with ruthlessness and resentment. "It's fine if you want a divorce, but let him hand over all of his assets. Otherwise, let that woman and her son be illegitimate children forever." Mrs. Hua only had Hua Xiaofeng as her backbone now. Naturally, she would do whatever he said and agreed without much struggle. Hua Xiaofeng glanced at the wound on her face and said with heartache, "Mom, you should go and treat the wound on your face first." Mrs. Hua touched half of her swollen face. Her eyes reddened again. She nodded and turned to leave. After she left, Hua Xiaofeng's expression changed completely. He kicked the table beside him angrily. He had nowhere to vent his anger. Coincidentally, the things that Hua Chenhuan had sent to him arrived at the same time. "Young master, there's an email for you." "Mail?" Hua Xiaofeng frowned. He couldn't remember who would send him a mail at this time. Hua Xiaofeng took the mail and pinched it. It was quite thick, and there was a bulge at the bottom that looked like a round watch. Just as he tore it open, the things inside slid out, and a bunch of photos fell to the ground. Hua Xiaofeng was stunned. He squatted down and wanted to pick up the photo, but when he saw the content of the photo, his pupils shrank. There were two main characters in the photo. One of them was a man he didn't know, and the other was his girlfriend, Wen Jingping, who had disappeared after the hotel incident and hadn't come to see him until now. Hua Xiaofeng was stunned for a moment, but quickly reacted and looked at the other photos. The same two people, the same intimate actions, but with different backgrounds. At the entrance of the company, the square, the clothing store, the jewelry store, and even on the side of the road, a man and a woman were intimately holding hands or whispering in each other's ears. Just from this photo, one could see the ambiguity and sweetness between the two. Hua Xiaofeng, who had a green grassland on his head, was so angry that smoke was about to come out of his head. He threw the photo in his hand to the ground, and it hit the mini projector that had been sent with the photo. With a click, the projector was turned on, and a high-definition video was projected. In the video, the two people were whispering. The woman seemed to have heard something exciting, and she giggled. Then, the two people kissed sweetly, and it was hard to part. They were like a pair of jade. Chapter 576. This scene was like the last straw that broke the camel's back, crushing Hu Xiaofeng's last shred of rationality. He struggled to stand up and kicked the miniature projector away. The projector smashed into the wall and broke into pieces, just like Hu Xiaofeng's last bit of luck with Wen Jingping. B*TCH, B*TCH, B*TCH. Hu Xiaofeng was so angry that he smashed everything in the room. How dare you betray me, how dare you betray me, Hu Xiaofeng felt as if the whole world was against him after suffering 2 critical blows in one go. Congratulations to the host for snatching the female protagonist's Goldfinger. Progress +5. Current progress is 50%. The progress bar for snatching the female protagonist's Goldfinger is more than half. The progress bar for snatching the male protagonist's Goldfinger has been activated simultaneously. It is known that the host's partner is the family Hua's heir, Hua Chenhuan. The world's male protagonist has officially been replaced by the young master of the Dou Enterprise, Dou Yi. The progress bar for snatching the male protagonist's Goldfinger has been activated. 3, 2, 1. The progress bar for snatching the male protagonist's Goldfinger has been activated. The progress bar is now 0. At the same time, the progress bar for snatching the female protagonist's Goldfinger has been reset to 0. Please work hard with your partner to snatch the male and female protagonist's Goldfinger as soon as possible and change your fate. Su Yiyen was shocked by the mechanical voice that suddenly popped up in her head. She was still in a daze when she heard the rest of the content. Her eyes widened in shock. What? What's going on? Isn't the world's male protagonist Hu Xiaofeng? What's up with this young master of the Dou Enterprise? Anne. Why is my progress bar at 0 after the progress bar for snatching the male protagonist's Goldfinger has been activated? Please calm down. The original world's male protagonist is indeed Hu Xiaofeng, but the world wishes for the female protagonist to take the lead. A minute ago, the system detected that the relationship between the female protagonist and the original male protagonist has been completely broken. The female protagonist's Goldfinger has been affected as a result. At the same time, the female protagonist has chosen the second male protagonist. Su Yiyen was stunned. You mean, the appearance of the so-called male protagonist depends on the choice of the female protagonist? Yes. Su Yiyen did not know whether to laugh or be angry. You should have told me this earlier. The system was silent for a while before it spoke again. The hidden plot and hints can only be obtained by upgrading the system. Su Yiyen raised her eyebrows. She could tell that the answer was somewhat vague. Will you only tell me after I level up, or will you only know after I level up? These two situations sounded similar, but in reality, they were very different. When Su Yiyen said this, the system fell silent again. Su Yiyen had no choice but to probe for more information. The latter? Yes. In other words, there were some hidden plots and hints that even the system did not know about beforehand. They could only be unlocked after leveling up. Does Hu Xiaofeng being kicked out of the male lead have anything to do with him being kicked out of the Hu family? According to the world's fate, the male lead of this world must have a certain family background to better assist the female lead to reach the peak. Su Yiyen understood. Hu Xiaofeng was chosen as the male lead because he was the only heir of the family Hu group. He was the rightful eldest young master of the Hu family and would definitely inherit the Hu family in the future. However, because of her and Hua Chenhuan, these two outliers, who had been suppressing him, he was kicked out of the Hu family. At the same time, Hua Chenhuan's recovery and his father's adultery meant that he was no longer the only heir of the family. He might even lose his status as the eldest young master of the family Hua. Chapter 577. His previous advantage had disappeared, and now he couldn't even protect himself, let alone rely on his status to protect the female lead and help her climb to the top. Naturally, he was abandoned. So, Hu Xiaofeng was abandoned? This Dou Yi overtook him and became the new male lead? Su Yiyen frowned so hard that she could almost squeeze a mosquito to death. Wen Jingping's golden finger is too big, isn't it? If the male lead can be changed at will, Then what if Chenhuan worked so hard to suppress Do Yi until he's almost the same as Hua Xiaofeng now, and she changes the male lead, then all our previous efforts will be in vain? In game terms, this Wen Jingping also had her own resurrection armor? They were NPCs with only one life. How could they compete with this kind of child of life? Even if they were prepared and didn't lose their vitality, from time to time this kind of thing was enough to make them feel disgusted. The host can rest assured about this. The female lead only has one chance to change the male lead. Hearing this, Su Yiyen didn't relax, but dangerously narrowed her eyes. You seem to understand Wen Jingping's situation very well. The system understands the rules of the world, and helps the host to challenge the rules of the world. This wasn't wrong. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you can win 100 battles. But Su Yiyen always felt that this so-called rule made her feel that this world's Tao was like a chess piece behind the scenes. The world they were in was just a chessboard under the opponent's hands. Whether it was her or Wen Jingping, they were all just chess pieces of the opponent. This knowledge made Su Yiyen feel uncomfortable, but there was nothing she could do about it. Then why did my progress bar reset to 0? Does this mean that all my previous efforts were in vain? The host's progress bar reset to 0 because the male lead's golden finger has been activated. Hua Chenhuan was originally the cannon fodder in the book. After being cured by the host, he has the qualifications to become the world's male lead. After activating the male lead's progress bar, the host's progress bar will be closely related to the partnership's progress bar, achieving the same fate effect. Su Yiyen. It sounded quite complicated. To sum it up, it seemed like she had changed from solo NG to a two-player party. For a moment, Su Yiyen did not know whether to rejoice or have a headache. The system also seemed to feel that it was not very kind to suddenly throw such a big question at Su Yiyen. After a moment of silence, the mechanical voice suddenly sounded again. In view of the fact that the host has completed the mission of snatching the Goldfinger very well and has hardly had any direct conflicts with the male and female protagonists. For this reason, the host is specially rewarded with a piece of special information. Special information? How special is it? The system was speechless. I can't answer this question. Su Yiyen also felt that his question was a little silly after he asked it. He couldn't help but laugh. Forget it. I don't care how special this information is. Just hurry up. I'd like to see how many more things you're hiding from me. The system, the female lead is not a local. Non-local? Su Yiyen raised her eyebrows. You mean she's not a local? The system was speechless. Su Yiyen's intuition told him that it couldn't be that simple. He was stunned for 2 seconds before he suddenly realized the other meaning of the system's words. Non-local means she's a transmigrator? The system was silent for a long time. Su Yiyen originally thought that it would not answer, but unexpectedly, it responded in the end. Yes. Su Yiyen. This development was a little exciting. Chapter 578. Wen Jingping is a transmigrator? When did this happen? Did she transmigrate in the original novel, or did she change because I was reborn? Butterfly effect? As far as I know, Wen Jingping transmigrated before meeting the original male lead, Hua Xiaofeng. She has nothing to do with the host. In other words, she had already transmigrated before the plot of the original novel began. Whether it was the original novel or the previous life, Wen Jingping was a transmigrator. Thinking of this, Su Yiyen could not help but feel her scalp go numb. Where did she transmigrate from? According to investigation, Wen Jingping came from the early period of the ancient Earth explosion. Ancient Earth? Su Yiyen was stunned. Her first reaction was Wen Jingping's cooking. So, her family does not have any ancestral recipes at all. The dishes in her live streaming room were all brought over by her transmigrating? Yes, it's only because of the enhancement of her golden finger that the dishes she makes have a certain soothing and healing effect. Unfortunately, this golden finger completely lost its effect after meeting Su Yiyen. In addition, she had been banned by the platform for courting disaster. Her golden finger was completely useless before it could be used. Other than this? Does she have any other special golden fingers? This requires the host to explore on her own. Su Yiyen was speechless. What's the use of having you? Su Yiyen's mood was like a roller coaster. It went up and down a few times. If not for her good heart, she might have had a heart attack. When Hu Chenhuan returned, he saw her bitter and resentful expression and thought that someone had made her angry again. What's wrong? Who made you unhappy again? No, Ing. Su Yiyen hugged Hu Chenhuan's waist and hid in his arms for comfort. She pouted and said, "Is the man who cuckolded Hu Xiaofeng called Do Yi? You know? I just found out. What's his background?" Hu Chenhuan patted Su Yiyen's head and explained in a low voice, "The Dou family is considered an old aristocratic family. They specialize in the entertainment industry and high-end restaurants." Entertainment industry and high-end restaurants? These two industries could really become her nemesis at any time. The Dou family's Hai Yi is an old entertainment company. It's much bigger than Dongcheng. Hai Yi. Su Yiyen was stunned. She finally remembered where she heard of this name. This Dou Yi was a supervillain in the latter half of the original novel. He was the heir of the old Dou family. Most importantly, he had no bottom line when it came to doing things. In his eyes, there were only two kinds of people. One was useful, and the other was useless. Once he set his eyes on something, he would obtain it no matter what price he had to pay, even if he had to resort to underhanded means. In the original novel, when Wen Jingping and he met, it was already the latter half of the plot. At that time, the two had already experienced a lot of things. Hu Xiaofeng's mind was also relatively mature. He was not like the current him who only knew how to act recklessly and self-righteously. In addition, at that time, the male and female lead Halo had already helped them swallow up the assets of several backup male supporting characters. Hu Xiaofeng had more cards in his hands than Dou Yi. Dou Yi had a conflict with the two at that time because he happened to see Wen Jingping in a drama that his family had invested in. At that time, Wen Jingping had gradually gained some fame. The main point was that she had not been repeatedly slapped in the face. She had a good reputation. Chapter 579. At that time, Dou Yi had the idea of signing Wen Jingping to his company, but he didn't treat Wen Jingping differently. What really made him obsessed with Wen Jingping was that the series of events that followed made him accidentally find out that Wen Jingping's cooking could actually alleviate his illness. In the original novel, Dou Yi suffered from a rare blood disease. This blood disease doomed him to not live long. Every time he had an attack, his whole body felt like thousands of needles and thousands of ants were biting him. It was very painful. Wen Jingping's uniqueness made him suddenly fall in love with this woman. He used all kinds of means to keep her by his side. At that time, Wen Jingping had a stable relationship with Hu Xiaofeng. Her career was stable. Of course, she didn't want to be the forbidden woman of such a lunatic. She refused him without thinking and told him that she already had a man she liked. When ordinary people heard this answer, they either gave up or pestered her. Dou Yi's idea was more straightforward and cruel. What he thought was, since you have someone you like, as long as this person dies, you won't have anyone you like. At that time, Wen Jingping filmed several dramas. She had a good relationship with Luo Weibing. Hu Xiaofeng was unhappy. He knew that there was such a person pestering Wen Jingping. When Wen Jingping mentioned him, she didn't mention his name. He deliberately led Dou Yi to mistakenly think that the person Wen Jingping liked was Luo Weibing. As a result, Luo Weibing blocked most of the attacks for him, and he had been hiding behind, reaping the benefits of the fisherman. Luo Weibing finally fell to such a miserable end. A large part of the reason was because of Dou Yi's accidental injury. Dou Yi met Wen Jingping at this time and became her boyfriend so quickly. Most likely, it was because he had discovered Wen Jingping's uniqueness and knew that she could help him relieve his illness. It was actually very easy to make such a person give up Wen Jingping. She just needed to let him know that Wen Jingping was not the only person who could alleviate his illness, and that this person was more useful to him than Wen Jingping. But Su Yiyen didn't want to use this method. The reason why she was willing to save Ning Chirue and Luo Weibing's sister and let them completely leave the plot was that these two spare tires in the original novel were not bad in nature. If they hadn't met Wen Jingping, they could have had a smooth and carefree life. They wouldn't have inexplicably broken up and killed their families. It didn't matter if they were unlucky, but they also implicated their families. Do Yi is different, he is cruel by nature, and his mind is twisted. Helping him was tantamount to asking a tiger for its skin. In the end, not only would he not get a word of thanks from him, he might even get himself into trouble. Not to mention that he was now tied to the same boat as Wen Jingping. He was destined to bear the burden of death with them. This person is more dangerous. If it's not necessary, it's best not to contact him alone, and don't have a conflict with him. It seemed that Hu Chenhuan had a general understanding of what kind of person this person was when she investigated him. Su Yiyen pursed her lips and looked worried. I'm afraid it's a bit difficult. Wen Jingping has suffered losses in the hands of Dongcheng and me several times in a row. Now she is with this man, I'm afraid she will come to trouble me. Hu Chenhuan's eyes were slightly cold and comforted her. Don't worry, if they really dare to trouble you, I will help you clean them up. Su Yiyen couldn't help laughing. Well, then I and my broken company will depend on you. Don't let them bring down my company. If my company collapses, someone will support me, but no one will support my employees. Chapter 580. Hu Chenhuan scratched her nose and teased, now that you're saying this, I'm a little tempted. Why don't you let it close down? I'll support you. TSK. Su Yiyen rolled her eyes at him. You're such a wastrel. Aren't you using our family's money to support me? This company is also our family's. Don't you know how much money you'll lose by flirting with me? Hu Chenhuan was amused by his wife's money-grubbing behavior. He apologized softly, it's my fault. I'll protect my wife's coffers. I promise it'll only be more, not less. That's more like it. As it turned out, Su Yiyen's worries were not unfounded. A week before she was to go to the Qing family with Hu Chenhuan, the new male lead started to cause trouble for her company. What? You don't want to direct anymore? Wait, didn't we have a good discussion before? Why did you change your mind all of a sudden? Are you dissatisfied with the conditions I mentioned before? We can talk about all of that. Su Yiyen had just entered the company when she heard the head of the planning department talking to someone on the phone. It sounded like he was in a hurry. Me? In the end, it seemed like the discussion had broken down. The head of the planning department looked terrible. Su Yiyen's intuition told her that there was a problem. She thought for a moment and asked, what happened? Director Su. The head of the planning department was shocked and said awkwardly, it's me, who was originally going to be the executive director of Red Brave. He suddenly called and said that he can't take on the role. He wants us to find someone else. Me? Su Yiyen furrowed her brows. She wasn't familiar with directors in the industry. Previously, she had only heard that Xia Juanxing's Red Brave had a special theme and a grand background. The average director wouldn't be able to handle it. It would be best to find a more professional director. In the end, they chose an old director with experience in filming related themes. Previously, Xia Juanxing had personally invited him. The negotiation went very smoothly, and there were basically no mistakes. They didn't expect that after a few days, this person would stand them up. Did you ask for the reason? It's because the filming time is too long and the intensity is too high. The elderly's body can't take it. Su Yiyen's intuition told her that it wasn't that simple. All right, I've got the gist of it. You guys can continue with your work. The planning department head was originally worried that Su Yiyen would blame them for this matter, but after hearing her words, he couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. He hurriedly expressed his loyalty before sending her away. Su Yiyen went back to his office and thought about it. He still felt that there was something wrong with this matter. She had heard of this man from Xia Juanxing before. He was only in his early 50s this year and should still be in good health. Moreover, Xia Junxing had personally gone to discuss the collaboration with him. It was impossible that he did not know the estimated shooting time of the script beforehand. This old man had agreed to it back then. Now that he suddenly changed his mind, there must be some other reason. Su Yiyen's intuition had saved her several times, so much so that every time she felt that something was wrong, she would have to investigate thoroughly before she could feel at ease. This time was no exception. Xia Junxing was the one who found this person. Now that there was a problem, it was naturally Xia Junxing's responsibility to investigate. Xia Junxing was also very surprised when he found out that this man had turned down the director's offer. He immediately went to find someone in the know to understand the situation. He was also very fast. The next morning, he told Su Yiyen what he had found out. You're saying that the reason he turned down this film is because he accepted another film of a similar genre. The main investor of this film is still Hai Yi? Chapter 581. That's what the feedback said. Su Yiyen rubbed her chin and thought for a moment. Do you know what the drama they're going to shoot is about? It's said to be about an empress from the Tang dynasty. Empress? As soon as Xia Junxing's voice fell, the system spontaneously told Su Yiyen about the lost history in the river of time. After Su Yiyen heard it, she couldn't help but sigh a little. Even now, there were still many male chauvinistic straight men who viewed women as their own accessories, not to mention in that era where people weren't as open-minded as they were now. This empress was able to rely on her own strength to ascend to the highest throne and sit in that position for such a long time, showing her courage and means. If Hai Yi could really come up with a good script and recreate the magnificent scene of the Tang dynasty, it might really be a big hit. Of course, the premise was that they had a team and good actors who could match the script. Do you know who the male and female lead of the drama they're going to shoot is? The male lead hasn't been decided yet, but the female lead seems to be a girl called Wen Jingping. Xia Junxing had some impression of Wen Jingping. In the variety show that their company invested in, Wen Jingping was once famous for murdering the company's artists. After that, she was blacklisted by many management companies. Who would have thought that in just a few months, she would actually climb up to Hai Yi and become a newcomer that Hai Yi was trying to promote? Xia Junxing wasn't stupid. With Wen Jingping's identity and this sudden rejection of the director, he turned around and ran to Hai Yi. If he really thought that these two things had nothing to do with each other, then he didn't need to continue working in this industry. Wen Jingping? Su Yiyen really didn't think that Hai Yi would not only steal their director, but also spend a lot of money for Wen Jingping, spending a huge amount of money to create a costume IP for her to debut in a high position. However, did she really have the ability to support this scheming yet domineering and independent female lead role, and could she withstand Hai Yi's strong support? Su Yiyen really wasn't sure. She narrowed her eyes and asked the system tentatively, System, will the world's consciousness give her an acting cheat? Is the host scared? Su Yiyen laughed. If I was scared, I wouldn't have chosen this path. Regardless of whether the world's consciousness favored Wen Jingping at this time and gave her this ability, the most important thing was to find a director to take over their company's production. Do you have any idea who you're going to get to take over this show? Xia Junxing showed a difficult expression. Welcome. Is there a problem? Is the other party asking for a high price? That's not the problem. Then, Xia Junxing hesitated for a moment, but he still told Su Yiyen the truth. There are fewer people in the industry who film period dramas, and there are even fewer who can produce good works. I do have a candidate in mind, but I'm afraid this person is not easy to invite. Su Yiyen quickly understood Xia Junxing's meaning. Is his position very high? Yes, this director is almost in a semi-retired state. In recent years, he has only made one documentary, and he's quite old. Older than me? To be precise, he's not from the same generation, whether in terms of age or other aspects. Su Yiyen's eyes flashed. She felt that it was necessary to fight for this person. What's his name? Chapter 582. Xia Junxing recommended director Luo Baogang to Su Yiyan. This director was almost 70 years old and was considered a national treasure in the industry. When this old director was young, he had filmed many enduring classics. When he was old, he was regarded as a treasure in the industry. Only some movies and TV series that caught his eye, or some large-scale international events, could invite him to help shoot. It was impossible to spend money on such a person. The only way was to perfect the script and let him see their sincerity so that he would be willing to help them film. The first person Su Yiyan thought of was Yi Qiliang if she had to think of a senior who was related to the relevant departments. Yi Qiliang was a little confused when he received Su Yiyan's call. After the initial surprise, he was pure joy. "Sister Su. Professor Yi, I have something to ask you." Go ahead, go ahead. You don't have to be so polite with me. Do you know director Luo Baogang? Yi Qiliang was not sure why Su Yiyan was looking for Luo Baogang, but he still said truthfully, "I know. His wife and I were in the same school. We met a few times when we participated in some activities in the early years. Why are you asking about him out of the blue? Did something happen?" Su Yiyan did not expect him to have such a relationship with Luo Baogang's wife. Her eyes lit up, and she simply explained the ins and outs of the matter. Yi Qiliang was a little angry after hearing it. Others did not know, but he knew very well that Su Yiyan was not only the person in charge of Dongqing, but also the famous online food streamer Yan Yan. If Su Yiyan had not mentioned Wen Jingping, he would not have had much of an impression of her. Now that Su Yiyan mentioned her, the old master remembered that he had accidentally seen Su Yiyan's live stream recording from the student's side. Coincidentally, someone had deliberately slandered Su Yiyan for plagiarizing her work and imitating her live broadcast. This caused her fans and a group of anti-fans to run to Su Yiyan's live broadcast room to curse. At that time, Yi Qiliang could not stand it and even put in a good word for Su Ya on the internet, forming a good relationship. At that time, he did not know about the grudge between Su Yiyan and this girl. He only thought that this woman was full of lies. Later, because of some things that happened on the internet, Yi Qiliang learned about the grudge between Su Yiyan and this girl and her boyfriend. At the same time, he sighed in his heart that someone was really blind. He did not want such a good girl like Su Yiyan and chose such a liar, well, in the younger words, green tea. Yes, it was green tea. He didn't want a good girl, but he insisted on this kind of green tea. If his own son was 10 years younger, he would definitely let him chase after Su Yiyan. At the same time, he felt that Su Yiyan had started this live broadcast because she could not take this lying down. She was deliberately making things difficult for Wen Jingping. Thinking about it this way, he should be grateful to this scumbag of 3 catalysts. They allowed Su Yiyan to walk in front of the public and prove how outstanding she was. This sounded sarcastic, but it was also the truth. Of course, this did not prevent Yi Qiliang's impression of her from falling to the bottom. Later, he happened to see the news that Wen Jingping had harmed the trainees in the same group in order to advance to the next level. She had even framed her friends who were kind to her. He increasingly felt that this girl was not only selfish at such a young age, but she was also very ruthless. She was a two-faced and ruthless person. Now that he heard about Su Yiyan, Yi Qiliang's first reaction was, "Her management company poached the director of your company's new drama. On purpose?" Chapter 583. I don't know if he did it on purpose, but it's a fact that he left. Now, we can only hope to find a new director. Moreover, I'm worried that this matter will be used by someone with ulterior motives to attack our company's confidence. Yi Qiliang nodded understandingly. If a famous director couldn't stay, and an unknown director was found, not only would the artists feel uncomfortable, but the audience would also be confused. Why couldn't a famous director stay? Could it be that there was something wrong with this drama? If this topic was really led on, Su Yiyan's drama would be at a disadvantage before it even started shooting. How about this? I'll find my university class monitor and see if he has Luo Baogang's phone number. Then I'll have to trouble you. After hanging up, Su Yiyen let out a sigh of relief. She was a little worried about how to get out of this situation. Did Hai Yi make trouble for you? How did you know? Su Yiyen looked at Hua Chenhuan, who had appeared behind her without her noticing, in surprise. Hua Chenhuan held her hand and chuckled. How could I not know about such a big thing? Su Yiyen snorted and was a little unhappy. They openly poached the director I had my eyes on and asked him to direct a drama starring Wen Jingping. This is a deliberate provocation. Hua Chenhuan's eyes flashed coldly. It's really too much. What are you going to do? I want to find a better director than him to slap their faces. Do you have someone in mind? Su Yiyen's bright eyes dimmed, but it's hard to invite that person. You want to find Luo Baogang? Su Yiyen was stunned. How do you know? Did her man put a bug in her head? How did he know everything she was thinking? I asked Yan Bai to ask someone in your company. Someone in my company? Su Yiyen was stunned. It seemed that only she and Xia Junsheng knew about this. So Zhua Yanbai asked Xia Junsheng. You want him to direct the drama your company invested in? Yes. Su Yiyen nodded. I just asked Professor Yi, hoping to get lucky. I didn't expect Director Luo's wife to be his schoolmate. He was just going to ask his class monitor, maybe he can contact Madame Luo. After Su Yiyen finished speaking, she saw Hua Chenhuan staring at her. Her expression was unexpectedly serious. For some reason, she suddenly felt a little guilty. What's wrong? You promised me before that you would ask me for help if anything happened, and not anyone else. Su Yiyen. Was this guy jealous of something like this? Cough. It's not that I don't want to tell you, but I heard from Brother Junsheng that this Director Luo is not old. Professor Yi is old and has a lot of connections. I want to ask him if he has any connections. I've already asked someone to contact Director Luo. Let's visit him together tomorrow. Su Yiyen was stunned. You've already asked someone to contact him. How do you have Director Luo's contact information? Director Luo's wife's mother used to be my mother's vocal music teacher. Before my mother was alive, they were very close sisters. Although I'm not very familiar with their family, they should be willing to meet us for my mother's sake. Su Yiyen's eyes widened. She didn't expect that the so-called backdoor entry was by her side. There was no need to find someone else. Hua Chenhuan was amused by her stunned look. She reached out and tapped her nose, smiling. Are you still looking for someone else? Chapter 584. Su Yiyen was stunned for a few seconds before she realized what Hua Chenhuan meant. She hurriedly hugged his arm and said with a flattering smile, I won't look for you. With such a powerful husband, why would I look for someone else? I'll look for you. Hua Chenhuan could not help but laugh. He enjoyed his wife's flattery with a clear conscience. I heard that the TV series you were rejected is about ancient opera. How is the script? Have you read it? I've read it. The script is good. She didn't want to fool them because it was good. The original author, the crew, and the actors had put in a lot of effort. In the end, it was better not to make a movie. Hua Chenhuan thought for a while and comforted her, bring the script with you. They'll agree. Su Yiyen looked at him in confusion. She didn't understand why he was so sure. The surprise and confusion lasted until the next morning when they set out to find Director Luo. How can you be so sure that he'll agree? Director Luo has a bad temper, but he loves his wife very much. Basically, he'll listen to his wife. Huh? Weren't they filming? Why did they suddenly talk about Director Luo's love for his wife? Director Luo's wife is a famous vocal artist, and she's very knowledgeable about opera. She should be very interested in the theme of your TV series. Su Yiyen was stunned for a few seconds before she realized what Hua Chenhuan meant. You mean, as long as I can get Rao Luo's support, Director Luo will be willing to take on this TV series? Yes. Su Yiyen's eyes lit up. She was more confident about this trip. Hua Chenhuan saw the change in her expression, and the corners of his mouth rose a little. It was almost noon at the Luo family's house. The old couple lived in a simple and unadorned apartment building. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Luo Baogang opened the door. Director Luo looked very serious, just like the rumors said. His eyebrows were raised at the end, and he was the kind of person who looked dignified without being angry. He was stunned when he saw the two of them. After a while, he seemed to have thought of something and asked in a low voice, "Are you here to look for Linghua?" Luo Baogang's wife's surname was Song, and her name was Linghua. "Yes, I'm Xie Jingyi's son. I'm here to see Auntie Song." Hearing that he was looking for his wife, Luo Baogang's expression softened a little. He stepped aside and said, "Come in." As soon as the two of them entered the house, a gentle voice came from inside. "Old Luo, who is it?" "It's Jingyi. She's here to look for you." "Jingyi's child?" As soon as the voice fell, an elegant old lady wearing a light gray cheongsam walked out of the room. According to Hua Chenhuan, the old lady should be in her 60s or 70s. However, time seemed to be especially kind to this old lady. Although it could be seen from her appearance that she was indeed old, her gentle and elegant temperament could make people ignore her age, and their eyes unconsciously moved with her. "I remember." Song Linghua looked up and down at Hua Chenhuan. She smiled and said, "You're Jingyi's son, right? You called yesterday. Look at my memory. The older I get, the more useless I become." Then, she saw Su Yiyen beside Hua Chenhuan. She asked doubtfully, "This is?" Hua Chenhuan held Su Yiyen's hand and said, "This is my wife." Su Yiyen was also clever. She hurriedly said, "Hello, Auntie Song." "Hello, Uncle Luo." Chapter 585. The children of the two elders were already married and did not live with them. It was rare for the younger generation to take the initiative to come to them, so Aunt Song was very happy. "Hey, don't just stand there. Come and sit down." Song Linhua and Hua Chenhuan's mother used to be very close sisters, but after they got married, especially after they had children, they gradually lost contact with each other. Even when Hua Chenhuan's parents died in an accident, Song Linhua only learned about it after a long time. "We were quite surprised when we suddenly found out about your parents from a senior. We didn't expect such good people to die so early. Okay, let's not talk about this." Luo Baogang saw that his wife was sad, so he frowned and reminded her in a low voice, "The children are still here." Song Linhua just remembered that Hua Chenhuan was the most upset about the death of her parents, so she hurriedly changed the topic. "You've grown up and have your own family. In the future. Live well. Okay." Hua Chenhuan looked at Song Linhua's gentle eyes, which were somewhat similar to her mother's, and responded. Then she went straight to the point. "Actually, we took the liberty to disturb you today because we have something we need Uncle Luo's help with." Luo Baogang was slightly stunned. "You need my help?" "Yes." Seeing that Hua Chenhuan had spoken, Su Yiyen also told the truth. "To tell you the truth, I have an entertainment company that recently received a new script. It's about ancient Chinese opera." As soon as she said this, the two elders were stunned, especially Song Linhua, whose eyes quickly lit up. "This drama is a big IP that our company is promoting. The plot is rigorous, and the background is grand." Before Su Yiyen could finish, Luo Baogang interrupted her and at the same time exposed her true thoughts. "You want me to direct this drama?" "Yes." "Sorry, I haven't taken on this kind of work for a long time." Su Yiyen knew that this would not be easy to pass, and he was already mentally prepared to be rejected. Therefore, he wasn't too flustered. Instead, he took out the first draft of the script that he had prepared beforehand and handed it to the two of them. He pleaded, "Please don't be in such a hurry to refuse. I've brought the script over. Please take a look. If you're not satisfied with it, we won't force you." Luo Baogang did not take it. His eyebrows were tightly knitted as if he was about to explode in anger. When Song Linghua saw this, she opened her mouth and was about to persuade him when the doorbell suddenly rang. The sudden noise broke the delicate atmosphere in the room. Song Linghua pushed Luo Baogang to open the door. Luo Baogang reluctantly got up. As soon as he walked out, Song Linghua said to Su Yiyan and Air Rang, "My family's old man has always been straightforward. Please don't mind him. As for the problem of acting, he's old and hasn't done this for many years. You should find someone else." "Auntie Song, we..." Su Yiyan still wanted to persuade her, but suddenly there was a cheerful shout from outside. "Grandma Song, my mom asked me to bring some fruits for you and Grandpa Luo. Hey, do you have guests in your house?" Su Yiyan and the others looked in the direction of the voice and saw a round-faced girl carrying a bag of things excitedly walking in from outside. Seeing the two strangers in the room, the girl stopped and looked at them curiously. "You're here." Song Linghua smiled faintly and waved at the girl, asking her to come over. "You're here. Why are you carrying things again? We haven't finished the bag of pears you brought over before." Chapter 586. When Xia Ningxi heard her words, she immediately shifted her attention away from Su Yiyan and Grandpa Luo. She said earnestly, "The air is getting hotter and hotter, so it's easy to get heaty. You and Grandpa Luo have to eat more pears. My mom asked me to bring some apples and grapes over this time. They're all newly cultivated by my uncle. They're pollution-free and especially sweet. You eat first. If you like them, I'll send some more." Song Linghua held the fruit that Xia Ningxi forced in her hand. She was moved and helpless. "Your uncle worked so hard to grow these fruits. Just let him sell them. Why does he keep sending them to us? How much does this bag cost? I've been with you before. There are only 2 of us. We can't eat much. It's a waste to send so much." These days, the price of fruit was several times more expensive than natural ingredients. Ordinary people might not be able to afford it. Xia Ningxi's family was not rich, but they could often eat these fresh seasonal fruits. It was because her uncle contracted a very large orchard and would send them some from time to time. Xia Ningxi's home and the 2 old people's homes happened to be on the upper and lower floors. The 2 families had a very good relationship. The old people almost watched Xia Ningxi grow up. Luo Baogang's children and grandchildren were not around. Looking at Xia Ningxi, who was about the same age as their grandchildren, they unconsciously transferred part of their love for their grandchildren to her. Even Xia Ningxi's previous transfer problem was helped by them. For this reason, Xia Ningxi's parents also appreciated their love and help for Xia Ningxi. Over the years, as long as Xia Ningxi's family had something good, they would basically give them a share. Xia Ningxi listened to Song Linghua's words and smiled. "If you're worried about wasting, hurry up and eat more. Otherwise, it'll be a real waste if it goes bad." "You child." Song Linghua glared at her. "Don't send us these next time. We won't accept it." Xia Ningxi smiled and did not answer. Anyway, she would accept it this time. She naturally had a way next time. "Since you're here, don't leave. I'll ask your Grandpa Luo to make your favorite meat buns. Your Grandpa Luo's cooking is a family heirloom. I don't make it often at home. You're in luck today." Xia Ningxi was going to leave after delivering the things. Hearing her words, she sat back silently. "Really? I'll have to give it a good taste." After that, she turned her attention back to Su Yiyan and Song Yunxian. "Grandma Song, these 2 are. I was the one who spared the child." Song Linghua gave a simple explanation and sighed. "If you're here for this matter, then I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. Old Luo really can't accept your script. My wife is right." Old Luo packed his things and walked in. When he heard his wife's words, he immediately agreed. "I really don't plan to take on any scripts right now. Let alone a TV series, I won't even accept a movie now." Su Yiyan looked troubled. "Uncle Luo, we really have no other choice, so we came to you. If you're worried about your health, you can rest assured. Filming is one thing, but we'll definitely put your health first. We expect the shooting time of this drama to be relatively long, but the shooting task is relatively small. You won't be tired. Chapter 587. In addition, we can also provide you with a private doctor to check your body every time. Su Yiyen had spent a lot of money to invite this old director. If it was an ordinary director, he would have already agreed. Unfortunately, Luo Baogang was not an ordinary director. No matter how she showered him with flowers, he remained unmoved. Xia Ningxi sat silently in the background and listened to the conversation. She could roughly guess why these two strangers came to Luo Baogang. Over the years, there were many people who came to ask Luo Baogang to film. Su Yiyen was not the first. Xia Ningxi had seen them a few times and was already used to it. However, when her gaze accidentally swept over the script that was still on the table, especially when she saw the two big words, Red Dancer, on the top of the script, Xia Ningxi? Luo Baogang was really stubborn. Su Yiyen had offered a lot of conditions, but they did not move him. She was really a little depressed. She was hesitating whether she should stop here today and visit another time. She did not believe that 3 visits to the thatched cottage could not move him. If he could not be moved again, she would look around. Su Yiyen had already made up her mind to fight Luo Baogang to the death. Unexpectedly, in the next second, she saw the girl sitting opposite them, who looked like she was quite liked by the 2 old people, suddenly stand up. This script. Xia Ningxi did not care about being rude. She reached out, pressed the script on the table, and flipped through it in front of all the people. Then, with a somewhat ugly expression, she questioned the 2 of them, "Who are you? Why is this script here?" Xia Ningxi's first reaction was that her script had been stolen. She looked at Su Yiyen and Rao with more caution. Su Yiyen was completely confused by this sudden accident. After a while, she said, "This is a drama that my company invested in. The script is naturally in my hands. Is there a problem? A drama that your company invested in? Then aren't you my boss in name? Are you here today to ask Grandpa Luo to help you film this drama?" Although Su Yiyen felt that this person was a little strange, he still answered truthfully, "Yes." "But hasn't the director already been chosen for this drama? Why did you suddenly change people?" Su Yiyen's eyes were slightly cold. She looked at Rao with a guarded expression. "How do you know that this drama has already decided on a director?" She's the original author of this drama." Hua Chenhuan's sudden words had successfully frightened everyone present. Su Yiyen's eyes narrowed slightly. She looked at the strange girl in disbelief. After a while, she spat out a sentence with difficulty, "Xia has Ningxi?" "Huh?" The expression on Xia Ningxi's face suddenly froze. "How do you know my online name?" Su Yiyen. "Fine, I'm sure it's true." Song Linghua felt like they were talking in riddles. She looked at them and finally couldn't help but ask, "What's going on? You know each other? Also, this script was written by she? Then you." Xia Ningxi suddenly showed a guilty expression. She didn't know why, but when she was asked this question, she suddenly showed a guilty expression. She said fawningly, "Grandma Song, actually Grandma Song saw through her at a glance. She put on a stern face to scare her. Don't play dumb with me. If you confess, I'll be lenient. If you refuse, you won't be able to eat meat buns today." Su Yiyen. What kind of punishment was this? Xia Ningxi. Thunderbolt from the clear sky, no. QAQ. Chapter 588. In short, that's it. Xia Ningxi spent about 5 minutes to briefly explain the whole story. The 2 elders were surprised and sighed. "You mean, you wrote a book online and an entertainment company took a fancy to it? Now, they're going to adapt it into a TV series?" Xia Ningxi blushed slightly and nodded. "Is that entertainment company, That's right, it's my company. The two elders were silent. After a while, Luo Baoging asked again, Did you find another director before this drama? Yes. Who did you find? Pan Yuban. Luo Baoging seemed to have some impression of this name. He frowned and said, Then why are you looking for me now? He stood us up. Stood you up? Everything was discussed and we were just short of signing the contract. However, I suddenly decided not to direct the drama the day before the contract was signed. Luo Baoging wasn't a young man who hadn't seen the world. He could tell that there was something fishy going on. What was the reason? The reason for his verbal refusal was that the intensity of the filming was too high. He was old and couldn't keep up. This sounded ridiculous. If he was really worried about this, he wouldn't have been on good terms with her from the beginning. He only went back on his word when the contract was signed. Luo Baoging sneered and continued to ask, What's the real reason? He took on another drama. That drama happens to be the same genre as ours. Moreover, it's a drama that my rival company invested in. The female lead in the drama is a death burden that I've been holding grudges against for a long time. A death enemy that has been holding grudges for a long time? Could it be? Xia Ningxi didn't recognize Su Yiyan and her husband at first. Now that she calmed down and took a look, weren't these two people President Su and her husband, who had caused a stir on the internet before? A long grudge, a death enemy, and a woman. Xia Ningxi's first thought was a certain third party. Su Yiyan smiled at her and didn't say anything. However, Xia Ningxi already had an answer. Her eyes darkened and her expression was a little ugly. It was not only because of her own efforts, but also because of a certain someone's despicable methods. Luo Baoging saw the change in Xia Ningxi's expression and narrowed his eyes. You knew our relationship with she before you came? Su Yiyan was stunned. Without thinking, she said, No, I don't know. But she wasn't sure if Hua Chenhuan also didn't know. Luo Baoging obviously thought the same. He did not doubt Su Yiyan's words and only looked at Hua Chenhuan. Hua Chenhuan neither admitted nor denied it. In a way, she had already given the answer. Luo Baoging's face darkened slightly, but he didn't ask any more questions. Song Linghua had already put on her presbyopic glasses. She took the script from Xia Ningxi's hand and read it. After a while, she seemed to have found something. She said with a stern face, You confused Qingyi with Hua Dan again. How many times have you followed her? You still can't remember. Xia Ningxi stood in front of Song Linghua with a bitter face. She was like a student who was not serious about her studies and was called to the office by the head teacher to be criticized. The reason why she was so excited when she saw the script on the table was that she was afraid that Song Linghua would read the script and correct her mistakes. One had to know that the days when she learned opera from Song Linghua were her happiest and most torturous days. So much so that she didn't dare to mention to anyone that she had learned from Song Linghua. She only dared to secretly fantasize about it. Chapter 589. But now, the script that she had secretly used for YY was being played in front of the main character. It was tantamount to a public execution. Xia Ningxi stood on the side and listened to Song Linghua pick out the mistakes one by one. Her head was getting lower and lower, and she wished she could dig a hole and bury herself. Su Yiyan found it interesting and tried to smooth things over. This script is only the first draft. It was written in a hurry, so it's inevitable that it's rough. When the preparatory work is done, I believe that Sister Xia will improve this script and won't make such a professional mistake again. Xia Ningxi's eyes were slightly bright, and she looked at Su Yiyan gratefully. Song Linghua listened to her and stopped scolding Xia Ningxi. She looked at the script in her hand and smiled. The story is quite interesting, but this professional knowledge needs to be improved. Xia Ningxi smiled. She was embarrassed but also a little happy. She felt that her efforts were recognized by the people she cared about. Su Yiyan's eyes turned and she reacted quickly. Don't we have professional knowledge? Me? Yes, if you are willing, we would like to invite you to be a special consultant for this drama. You will be responsible for correcting the loopholes in our professional knowledge and creating a rigorous and good-looking TV series. This, Su Yiyen could see that she was a little shaken. She smiled and took advantage of the victory to pursue. Do you like this script? This script is good. It's good that you like it. Director Luo is a director and has filmed many movies and TV series. As his partner, you should know that although there are many TV series now, there are very few that talk about ancient Earth culture. Even if there are, most of them are just sheep's head and dog meat. From what you just corrected, Sister Xia, I can tell that you are a very rigorous and passionate person. Since you like it so much, you must want more people to understand it and even inherit it. And I believe that this script should be able to do that. Su Yiyen's words really poked Song Linghua. She showed some hesitation on her face. Luo Baogang had seen through her thoughts. He snorted but didn't say anything. Because he also knew that if this drama was really like Su Yiyen's, Song Linghua would definitely be happy if it could affect some people. Su Yiyen saw that he just snorted and didn't say anything else, and his heart settled down. She glanced back and forth between Song Linghua and Xia Ningxi a few times, and suddenly realized something. She smiled and said, also, didn't Auntie Song realize that the female lead in this movie is actually quite similar to you? As soon as Su Yiyen said that, everyone present was stunned. Song Linghua looked at Xia Ningxi in surprise. Really? Xia Ningxi faced everyone's probing eyes and said with a face full of embarrassment, there is such a thing. The female lead is indeed more similar to you in all aspects. Before she could finish, Luo Baogang interrupted, where's the male lead? Who was the male lead based on? Xia Ningxi, Song Linghua, cough, of course it was you. You and Grandma Song are like an immortal couple. How could I bear to separate the two of you? And in this world, other than you, who else is worthy of Grandma Song? It must be written together. Su Yiyen. If she remembered correctly, the ending of this script seemed to be a tragedy. This girl is lying through her teeth. Aren't you afraid that you will be beaten when you are found out? Chapter 590. Luo Baogang finally looked better after hearing Xia Ningxi's flattery. He replied proudly, that's more like it. Su Yiyen. He was jealous of this kind of thing. It seemed that he really loved his wife. Song Linghua blushed at her old man's teasing. She patted him reproachfully and scolded him with a smile, you're not serious. Luo Baogang snorted and was a little unhappy. So what if I'm not serious? Don't tell me you want to date another man? Song Linghua choked. She was angry and amused at the same time. The children are all here. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at? What are you laughing at? Luo Baogang glanced at Su Yiyen and the others warningly. The smiles on Su Yiyen and the others' faces suddenly froze. She coughed softly and said, it's not a joke. You have such a good relationship. We can't wait to envy you. How can we laugh at you? Luo Baogang was satisfied. Okay, you don't have to flatter us. I can take on this show, but you have to ensure that the investment is in place. I have to choose the actors myself. Of course, I believe in the artists of our company. She made this show for a win-win situation. But if the actors themselves were not capable, no matter how good the script and the cast were, it would be useless. Luo Baogang glanced at her indifferently. I'll decide whether it's possible or not. He would not relax the standards just because the person was from her company. Then Auntie Song's consultant, Luo Baogang glared at her. Good girl, you want to buy one get one free? Director Luo, you're wrong. We sincerely want to invite Auntie Song to be the consultant. How can it be buy one get one free? Moreover, I see that you two have a good relationship. Director Luo, if you go out to work, you will have less time to accompany Auntie Song. But if Auntie Song can also help in the crew, you two can meet and be together, right? Luo Baogeng's angry face suddenly froze. He frowned thoughtfully. Seeing him waver, Su Yiyan looked up at Xia Ningxi with a smile. Xia Ningxi blinked. She didn't understand why Su Yiyan was looking at her at this time. However, considering that everything Su Yiyan was doing now was for her own filming. Xia Ningxi gritted her teeth and helped to persuade him, Grandpa Luo, this sister has a point. You and Grandma Song are always together. I'm afraid you won't be used to being apart. Moreover, a man who is serious about his work is the most handsome, you don't want Grandma to see how you work? Who knows, I might be able to find the feeling of being young again. As soon as Xia Ningxi's words came out, Luo Baogeng didn't say anything, but Song Linghua had already pinched her first. This girl, what's with the beard coat? What? Xia Ningxi didn't feel any pain, but she still cried out exaggeratedly. She quickly went around to the other side and hid behind the sofa. How is this a jacket? It's clearly the truth. Luo Baogeng was completely persuaded. He murmured, let's go together. It's good. Song Linghua almost laughed. Although she was a little tempted, it was obvious that these young people were coaxing him. This guy was convinced in a few words. Song Linghua was depressed, but she still agreed. Then let's go together. Chapter 591. As soon as Song Linghua agreed, Su Yiyan was overjoyed. She took out the contract she had prepared and handed it to Luo Baogeng. She said with a smile, since it's settled, let's sign the contract quickly, shall we? Luo Baogeng stared at her. You've even prepared the contract? Su Yiyan didn't feel guilty at all. She smiled and said, isn't it because I learned a lesson from the past, so I'm more careful in doing things? How can I be the same as those guys who break their promises? Yes. You're definitely different from him. But we still have to sign it. In this way, we can both feel at ease, right? Luo Baogeng rolled his eyes at her and snorted coldly. You're so impatient. Those who don't know will think that you want me to sign a contract to sell myself. Su Yiyan. From a certain point of view, there seemed to be nothing wrong with this statement. Luo Baogeng finally signed the contract with Su Yiyan, but he was a little dissatisfied. Why did you only prepare one contract? Su Yiyan thought that before they came, they didn't expect that there was such a treasure hidden in his home. One contract is enough. You've signed it. Do you think I'm afraid that Aunt Song will run away? I'll ask someone to send the other contract tomorrow. As soon as Su Yiyan said this, Luo Baogeng became more depressed. He always felt that he had fallen into a trap. After signing the contract, Luo Baogeng really didn't like the two of them, so he didn't ask them to stay for lunch. It just so happened that the two of them didn't want to stay for the meal, so they quickly went out. Until they got into the car, Su Yiyan couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. She couldn't believe that she had actually invited Director Luo. I didn't expect it to be so smooth. I thought it would take at least several trips. Hua Chenhuan heard this and reached out to touch her head. She smiled and said, you're lucky. You don't have to do so much. Did you already know the relationship between Xia Ningxi and the two elders? Yes. Hua Chenhuan didn't hide it. When Xiao Yang and the others were investigating yesterday, they happened to find out about this girl's relationship with them. At that time, he was also a little surprised when he received the information. Perhaps some things in this world were really destined to happen. Otherwise, how could there be such a coincidence? No wonder you were so sure yesterday that as long as I brought the script over, I would definitely be able to invite Director Luo. But how did you know that she would come today? What if? There's no what if. Hua Chenhuan's eyes were deep, and there was a certain indifference between her brows. If she doesn't want to go, then get someone to create an opportunity to force her to go. This was also the reason why Hua Chenhuan didn't talk much during the whole process and only let Su Yiyan talk to Luo Baogeng. Luo Baogeng was, after all, a veteran director who had been in the entertainment industry for many years. He had never thought that he could hide his tricks from him. The reason why he dared to do this was that he cared about his wife. Although Luo Baogang wouldn't fall out with them because of this, the feeling of being schemed against wouldn't be any better. If he had spoken just now, it would have aroused the disgust of the other party and made this cooperation go into an unknown direction. On the contrary, Su Yiyan, who was kept in the dark and didn't know anything, could make him feel calmer. However, before our people had time to act, she went over by herself, which saved a lot of trouble. According to his plan, Xia Ningxi's appearance should be a little later. Her early appearance meant that the people he sent out hadn't had time to act before she came to the door by herself. Su Yiyan pondered and sighed, what a coincidence. It's better to be destined than a coincidence. Chapter 592. Destined? Su Yiyan blinked and was a little confused. Why? That girl learned opera from Auntie Song for a while before this, so she has some foundation. Su Yiyan was stunned for a moment, and seemed to understand something. Her eyes lit up. You mean that she thought of writing this book because she learned opera from Auntie Song? And because she wrote this book, if we want to put her on the TV screen, we have to find some professionals to help us. These professionals are Auntie Song and director Luo. Sometimes things in this world were so wonderful. After going around in circles, they might come back to the beginning in the end. How did you know that the script was based on Auntie Song? Su Yiyan was a little proud when she heard this. I've read the script, from beginning to end. I've read it all. So? In the later part of the script, the heroine wanted to pass on the opera, so she found a 13 or 14-year-old female apprentice. This female apprentice was a little stupid and was often scolded by the heroine. The words in the script were almost exactly the same as what Auntie Song scolded Sister Xia just now. I see. So you suspect that the heroine was based on Auntie Song, and the female apprentice was herself? I just guessed. I didn't expect it to be right. Su Yiyan said happily. Fortunately, she was the one who wrote the book. Fortunately, she wrote Auntie Song. Otherwise, I don't know how to persuade director Luo to take this TV series. As a wife-slave who always put his wife first, Luo Baogang couldn't let others direct a TV series based on his wife. Xia Ningxi's approach was almost putting a ready-made weapon in her hands, so Su Yiyan had no choice but to win director Luo. That's why I think you're lucky. Su Yiyan hugged Hua Chenhuan's waist and smiled. I hope this good luck will continue. It will. Hua Chenhuan hugged the person in her arms tightly, but her thoughts drifted to Xia Ningxi's words not long ago. Are men who work hard really more handsome? Hua Chenhuan's heart skipped a beat when she recalled Su Yiyan's serious expression during the live broadcast. It seemed that he was indeed very charming. Then should he also? Su Yiyan didn't know what Hua Chenhuan was thinking. The first thing she did when she got home was to call Xia Junsheng. She told him that she had already convinced director Luo to sign the contract for Red Singer, and asked him to draft another contract and send it to Song Linghua. Xia Junsheng did not expect Su Yiyan to sign director Luo so quickly. After the initial shock, he immediately got someone to draft another contract and invited Song Linghua to be a professional consultant for the drama. The next morning, Xia Junsheng rushed to the Luo family with the contract. After the dust settled on the director's matter, or more accurately, Wen Jingping also made some noise as expected. Wen Jingping was about to star in a TV series called The Empress, which was a period drama that would focus on investing in the next 6 months. The drama began marketing 2 months ago, and the director had not been decided yet. Almost all the new stars in the entertainment industry were speculating about the male and female leads, even some well-known actors. 3 days after Su Yiyan's visit to Luo Baogang, announced that Pan Yu and would be directing their company's annual drama. A strong alliance, please look forward to it. Chapter 593. Usually, the official start of a TV drama project would start with the confirmation of the director and scriptwriter. However, most of the time, this segment did not generate much discussion. What really raised the popularity of the crew was the auditions and the confirmation of the male and female leads. Only then would it attract the attention and discussion of the audience. This drama was no exception. Ha Yi's sudden announcement that Pan Yuan would be directing Empress did not attract much attention at first. Only a small portion of the audience who had heard of Pan Yuan's name exclaimed, "I'm filming a new drama again. I'm looking forward to it." But soon, a portion of the media began to painstakingly lead the topic to Dongcheng. Previously, when Xia Junxing personally visited Pan Yuan to discuss a collaboration, he was photographed by some media. At that time, some people guessed that Pan Yuan was going to collaborate with Dongcheng to start a new drama. Since the collaboration went smoothly when the two were lacking, Dongcheng's people thought that this matter was in the bag and did not spend much effort to suppress this news. Unexpectedly, it was dug up and became an important piece of evidence for the internet VIPs to use against him. Did I remember wrongly? Didn't the media say that I was going to direct Dongcheng's new drama, Red Dancer? Why did I suddenly go to direct Ha Yi's drama? Coupled with the media's previous news of Xia Junxing entering and exiting Dongcheng's studio, it quickly attracted some attention. Many people knew that it was impossible for a director to direct two dramas at the same time in a short period of time, especially two historical dramas that required a long time to prepare. Red Dancer and Empress were both dramas set in ancient times. Since they were in the same genre, it was easy to compare them. In the eyes of the audience, the producers of both dramas had approached Pan Yuan, hoping that he would direct their own dramas. However, in the end, Pan Yuan chose Empress and gave up on Red Dancer. What did this mean? It meant that in Pan Yuan's eyes, Empress was more valuable than Red Dancer. Although everyone had their own preferences, everyone had a herd mentality. If he wanted to choose, he would choose the best. As for what was the best? Many people had their own standards for this best. However, in the eyes of others, the one that most people thought was the best had its own reasons. At least, it was better than the other dramas in the same genre. This little point might be the key to most people's choice. It was the same for watching TV series. How many people would be willing to watch or pay attention to a TV series that had been rejected from the very beginning and deemed as a shackle? After that, the fake reviewers began to take action, consciously guiding the passers-by and the audience to think in this direction. While praising Empress, they did not forget to step on Red Brave. The script hadn't even been released yet, and the actors hadn't been confirmed yet. Hearing the confident tone of these people, it was as if they were certain that Queen would definitely be a hit, and Dancing Red would definitely flop. As soon as Pan Yuan went back on his word and went to Ha Yi, Dongcheng had been on guard against this. As soon as the matter came out, it was immediately reported to Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan looked at the familiar marketing strategy of trampling on one, and the corners of his lips curled up into a mocking arc. He sneered and said, "Sure enough, it's here. Don't be angry, you're not the one who should be angry." Su Yiyan snorted coldly. She was both angry and relieved. Luckily, I knew something was wrong when I heard that stupid director went to Ha Yi and quickly found director Luo to save the day. Otherwise, wouldn't I have become their stepping stone for nothing? Chapter 594. Although they could use Luo Baoging to slap them in the face, it was also a fact that they were being trampled on. The popularity of the two dramas had been brought up. The only difference was that if they didn't fight back, their reputation would be at a disadvantage at the beginning. If they fought back, they would be forced to fight in the ring in the future. The loser was destined to be nailed to the pillar of shame. Luo Baoging's status in the circle is much higher than mine. They want to use my influence to belittle the quality of your TV series. In the end, they will only bring shame to themselves. Hua Chenhuan's words made Su Yiyan's face a little better, but that was not what she was really worried about. Do you think Wen Jingping's acting can really improve in a short time and take on the role of the female lead of this drama? Hua Chenhuan looked at her deeply and said with a faint smile, "You shouldn't ask me this question. You should ask yourself." Su Yiyan was stunned. "Ask me?" "That woman followed Hua Xiaofeng to make trouble for you several times. Almost every time, she was acting. Do you think her acting is good?" Of course, Su Yiyan didn't think Wen Jingping's acting was good. Every time she appeared, she was weak and pretended to be wronged, as if others were bullying her. But if you looked carefully, you would find that her eyes were full of jealousy and resentment. When she looked at Hua Xiaofeng, she would occasionally show an impatient and compromising look. Obviously, she didn't like him as much as she said. Only a guy like Hua Xiaofeng, who felt so good about himself, believed in her so-called deep feelings without a doubt. He never thought that he would be cuckolded. Even if she really worked hard and her acting skills improved by leaps and bounds in a short time, this drama is not so easy to act in. Su Yiyan turned to look at him in confusion. She didn't seem to understand what he meant. Yan, she is just a newcomer. A newcomer with no acting resume before, but she got the resources that many people dreamed of. Su Yiyan's eyes lit up as he understood. In her and Dou Yi's eyes, the Empress may be a high-end custom-made show for her. But in the eyes of the other artists in High E, especially those who were much more senior than Wen Jingping was just a person who relied on Dou Yi to steal the company's key resources. Those resources that even the experienced and capable seniors couldn't get. Why should a newcomer like her, who had nothing, occupy them? Regardless of the profession, the sudden appearance of a player from nowhere was bound to attract jealousy. Even if they didn't dare to do anything to her on the surface out of consideration for her backer's face, they still had to do something behind her back to make her life difficult. A few important roles in their drama have already been confirmed. Most of them are already famous artists. High E Entertainment had indeed put in a lot of effort to promote Wen Jingping. For this reason, they did not hesitate to pull in a bunch of famous artists to create buzz and send her to a high debut. But they forgot that if an actor wanted to attract fans and be liked by people, he didn't have to be the protagonist. Character design and acting skills were indispensable. They gathered these artists together to gain popularity. But if Wen Jingping's strength was not as good as theirs, and her acting skills were not good enough, she could be set off by a group of big bosses at any time. Moreover, this group of outstanding actors who could take on a drama independently were forced by the company to be the supporting roles for a person with connections. Did they really have no complaints in their hearts? If there were complaints, it was easy to get into trouble. Once something went wrong, it was unknown how far their drama could go. Chapter 595. Hua Chenhuan looked at Su Yiyan's shining eyes and added with a smile, "I heard that the second female lead in this drama was originally Hai Yi's most favored female artist." Su Yiyan was stunned for a moment, then suddenly laughed out loud, letting a famous flower be a supporting actress for an unknown newcomer. What are they thinking? Who knows? Maybe Hai Yi's higher-ups lost their minds. Su Yiyan was amused by the internet slang that popped out of nowhere. Yes. He has indeed lost his mind. But thinking about it carefully, maybe it wasn't just a problem of losing their minds. It was very likely that someone was influenced by Wen Jingping's female lead halo. One had to know that in the original novel, which one of the backup male leads wasn't a young talent with both good looks and talent. Such a person could shine anywhere. Even if the process was a bit bumpy, in the end, they would definitely climb to the top and shine brightly. But when they met Wen Jingping, these outstanding talents from all walks of life suddenly collectively lost their minds and became bootlickers. In the end, they licked until they had nothing left, completely becoming stepping stones for the male and female leads to the peak of life. After Su Yiyan finished laughing, she touched her chin and thought, I don't know what the second female lead's personality is like. Is her temper good? Hua Chenhuan knew what she was thinking and smiled faintly. The second female lead's personality is more fiery, and her temper isn't very good. More fiery? How fiery? Will she cause trouble for Wen Jingping? Hua Chenhuan looked at his wife's excited appearance and couldn't help but reach out and scratch her nose. Even if she doesn't, We can create an opportunity for her to do so. Like when Jinping, who came in through the back door, many people didn't like her. Even if they didn't want to do anything to her, with a little instigation, they might become hostile towards her. After all, no one could escape from psychological imbalance. The competition in the business world is never just on the surface. She's too impatient. There was a saying in the Book of Changes, if one's virtue does not match his position, there will be disasters. If Wen Jinping had some self-awareness, she wouldn't have made such a big deal as soon as she entered the company. Instead, she would have started from some supporting roles to accumulate some experience. At the same time, she would have given the people in the company some buffer time. Perhaps this matter wouldn't have become as big as it was now. But this person was so ambitious. He had already taken the resources that everyone in the company was envious of, and he might not even have the ability to match it. Don't be fooled by the fact that the show was being marketed so well. If the acting skills were not up to par, there would definitely be a backlash. And if there was a backlash, Hai-yi, who had invested a lot of money to help her get to the top, would also be implicated. At that time, even if Hai-yi is Do-yi's boss, wouldn't those senior executives be dissatisfied? Su Yiyen thought about it seriously for a while. He had to admit that he was far inferior to Hua Chenhuan when it came to tricking people. It's easy to cause trouble for Hai-yi. The problem is how to protect our people. Su Yiyen's heart suddenly thumped. Are you worried that they will do something to our company's people? We can sow discord among their people. Do you think we can kill them with a borrowed knife? Why don't they secretly play tricks and deliberately disturb your crew's shooting? Moreover, Luo Baogang is not old. If something happens during the shooting, your crew will have to bear the responsibility and consequences. Su Yiyen's eyes narrowed. Do you mean they may do something to Director Luo? Chapter 596. Hua Chenhuan looked at Su Yiyen's pale face. He frowned and comforted her. It's just a guess. It may not happen. Su Yiyen shook her head. She agreed with Hua Chenhuan's guess. No, your worry is not unreasonable. According to Do-yi's character in the original novel, he would do anything to achieve his goal. It was really possible that he would do such a thing. If he really wants to do something to Director Luo, should we? The two elders were invited by them. If they were really involved in the competition between the two companies and got hurt, she was afraid that she would spend the rest of her life in guilt. Don't worry. As long as they don't have a chance to do anything, the early shooting of this drama will take at least 2 or 3 months. The roles haven't been decided yet, so the shooting won't start so soon. Before that, I will send people to protect them. When the shooting officially starts, the two of them will be old. It will be too tiring for the crew to travel between home and home. So, they will simply stay in the hotel that the company has prepared for them. Hua Chenhuan paused. My uncle's hotels are all over the country. When the time comes, I will ask them to check the security carefully. I won't let anything happen to them. Your uncle? Su Yiyen was surprised. You have an uncle? She had stayed with Hua Chenhuan for half a year in her previous life. No matter how difficult it was, she had never heard him mention any uncle. Hua Chenhuan pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Su Yiyen could see that he didn't want to know. Although she was curious, she didn't ask again. Since they are trustworthy people, then let's do it. I will contact Director Luo first and make a statement together. Okay. Su Yiyen moved quickly. After she roughly explained to Luo Baogang what had happened, she personally made the statement. Huan Susu, V. Thank you for the invitation. The director of the new drama has been decided. Thank you for Director Luo Baogang's participation. In the future, we will work together to achieve a satisfactory result. Not long after, Luo Baogang quickly reposted and replied to Su Yiyen's post. Let's work hard together. As soon as the interaction between the two was posted, it immediately attracted the attention of the media from all walks of life. Suddenly announcing the director at this time? Was he trying to ride on the popularity of the neighboring movie, Empress? It's the company's CEO who's doing it personally. This lousy company is indeed lousy. If you don't have a brain, then read more books. Otherwise, you'll become a joke on the internet. Although Dongqing isn't a big company, they're rich, and they have a big director like Director Luo. Do you think they'll be interested in your lousy drama and the popularity of your lousy director? I'm thinking, could it be that a certain company and a certain drama series are so shameless that they're trying to stir up popularity in Dongqing City? They're even dissing the new drama for being so bad that even the famous director doesn't like it? What's wrong? Now that she's distancing herself from the director, she's turning around and scolding me for using you to create hype. It was really a case of a thief crying out to be a thief. Who was the one pulling who to speculate? Don't you have any idea? What kind of unknown director is this? I've never heard of him before. Did Dongqing Entertainment just randomly find a nameless director to take over the project? It looks like this new drama is going to flop. Pfft, I'm laughing. In this day and age, there's actually director Luo Baogang who's an unknown director. Oh my god, let me laugh for a while. How can laughing for a while be enough? You have to laugh 3 times. If you don't have any knowledge in your stomach, don't learn to be a keyboard warrior on the internet. Not only will you be annoying, but you'll also expose your short-sightedness and embarrass your parents. Chapter 597. Luo Baogang had gradually retired in recent years and did not act in dramas. But even if some people were no longer in the underworld, there were bound to be stories about them. The reason why classics were regarded as classics was that no matter how many years had passed, as long as it was dug out, it would still be the most precious memory of many people. And now, their own white moonlight was ridiculed and scolded. What could they do? Of course, they scolded back. Luo Baogang's fans were very widespread. There were people in their 70s and 80s, and people in their 20s and 30s. But most of them were between 25 and 40. Although people of this age also surfed, compared to these newbie keyboard warriors who argued on the internet as if the whole world owed them, they were more mature and shrewd. Su Yiyan's internet water army did not need to come forward to guide the direction of the wind. They had already spontaneously attacked those internet water army keyboard warriors who wanted to cause trouble. The internet water army noticed that the wind was not right and immediately reported this matter to their employer, which was the Public Relations Department of High Art. With Pan Yuan's record, Su Yiyan and the others were more cautious when they went to find Luo Baogang. They did not spread any rumors outside. And High Art probably did not expect that Dongqing County could invite this national treasure-level senior. They were a little stunned by this unexpected turn of events. For a moment, they did not know how to react. They could only play dead and think that this scam was deliberately done by some media to stir up the topic. It had nothing to do with them at all. Wen Jingping had been paying attention to the movements on the internet. When she saw that Su Yiyan had found a director out of nowhere, he had instantly suppressed everything they had done before. They had even gone for wool and come home shorn. They had even dug a pit for themselves. Her face was as black as the bottom of a pot. What are you looking at? A cold voice suddenly came from behind. Wen Jingping's face changed slightly. She quickly changed her expression and thought to herself, I am looking at some of the comments under our company's public account. The person who came looked to be in his early 20s. He had delicate eyebrows and a thin body. He was sitting in a wheelchair. His face was as pale as a sheet of white paper, and his lips were bloodless. From afar, they looked like vampires in Western European fairy tales. Do-yi listens to her words and asks, has the new director been announced? Yes, it was just announced. But Dongqing also announced the director of their new drama. Who is it? His name is Luo Baogang. He seems to be a big director. Wen Jingping looks at Do-yi and asks, is this Luo Baogang very famous? More famous than me? Yes. Do-yi responded softly, but his expression didn't change at all. He looked up at Wen Jingping and beckoned her to come over, Wen Jingping shuddered, but she seemed to be worried about something and didn't dare to disobey. She obediently walked to Dou Yi's side and held his hand. Dou Yi's hand was as white as his face, and one could vaguely see the thin blue blood vessels. At the moment of contact, Wen Jingping could not help but shudder. The temperature of his hand is very cold, so cold that it doesn't seem like a human. Although she has been with Dou Yi for some time and has touched him several times, she still can't control her body's subconscious reaction. She is very clear that she is afraid of this man, very afraid. But she has no choice. Dou Yi is aware of her strangeness, his eyes become deep and serene, very cold. Chapter 598. When Jingping's face was somewhat stiff, she shook her head and said, It's okay. The next second, a strong force suddenly came from her hand. When Jingping was pulled over, she staggered and fell into Dou Yi's arms. It was obviously a very ambiguous action, but when Jingping was scared stiff, she sat on Dou Yi's lap and didn't dare to move. Luo Baogang is a director who came before Pan Yuan. Even Pan Yuan has to respectfully greet him as a senior when he meets him. When Jingping's eyes widened, she temporarily forgot her fear. So powerful? Yes. Then, what should we do now? Now that they've hired this director, will it affect our new drama? Or should we try to find this director Luo? We can also poach him, or... When Jingping hadn't finished, Dou Yi's eyes swept over her. There was a faint coldness and annoyance. When Jingping subconsciously clenched her hands that were hanging in front of her. She cursed silently. She had forgotten that this person hated it when others told him what to do. Luo Baogang is not the same as Pan Yuan, he can't be casually bought over with money. If we go, we will only make him more disgusted, we will bring disgrace upon ourselves. Then, am I supposed to just watch them step on my head again? When Jingping pursed her lips, she looked sad and aggrieved. I have already been forced to lose my job, my reputation is also ruined, why do they still refuse to let me go? Dou Yi looked at Wen Jingping with ridicule. Did this woman think everyone was a fool? The truth of this matter, others didn't know, but how could he not know? Now she turned around and pretended to be pitiful, asking why others didn't let her go. With this incoherent acting, only the second generation of the family Hua could be coaxed by her, right? If not, she still had some use. Dou Yi suppressed his impatience and coldly said, What's the hurry? This was only the beginning. They invited Luo Baogang because they already knew that Pan Yuan had been poached by us. They purposely waited here for us to declare war on us. What you can do now is to perform well and beat them with your own skills when the show is released. But Wen Jingping still wants to say something, but when she meets Dou Yi's eyes, she doesn't dare to say anything. Just as she was feeling depressed, Dou Yi suddenly moved closer to her ear. His breath hit the side of her face, causing Wen Jingping to shiver subconsciously. Her entire body stiffened. I'm hungry. It was just 3 words, but Wen Jingping seemed to have received some kind of signal. She crawled out of his arms and said submissively, I'm going to cook. Yes. Wen Jingping was like being pardoned. She no longer cared about her anger and stumbled away. Dou Yi saw Wen Jingping's panicked appearance when she left. His eyes were cold and his body suddenly bent down. He covered his mouth with a handkerchief and coughed several times. The violent coughing dyed Dou Yi's deathly pale face a little red, but it also made him look more dangerous. After a few minutes, Dou Yi's undulating chest gradually calmed down and the blood on his face also faded. He took a deep breath and opened the phone that Wen Jingping left behind. He looked at the direction of the public opinion online and smiled with interest. It's still a little skill. Chapter 599. Then he caught a glimpse of the photos and videos of Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan that were circulating on the internet. Dou Yi's eyes slightly darkened, his fingertips skimmed over Hua Chenhuan's completely recovered legs in the photo, his eyes revealing deep thought. At that time, Su Yiyen didn't know that Hua Chenhuan's recovery of legs had attracted the attention of the second male protagonist of the neighboring world. After posting the news, Su Yiyen was on guard against Hai Yi making trouble again. However, Hai Yi was like a scumbag who ran away after flirting. No matter how much Hai Yi cursed and ridiculed, they were not willing to show up again. Su Yiyen should have breathed a sigh of relief, but he didn't know why he was inexplicably short of breath. Fortunately, not long after this incident, Su Yiyen and Hua Chenhuan were going to visit the Qing family. Su Yiyen was busy preparing things, and temporarily put this matter behind his mind. Yu Zian and others recently felt that their young master was really a bit strange. He often absent-mindedly at work, and always frowned, showing a puzzled and distressed look. Several people gathered together to discuss for a while, and finally came to a conclusion. Could it be that the young master and the young madam quarreled? Everyone's hearts were curious to the extreme, but because their young master's dignity was too heavy, no one dared to be the first one to run to ask him what happened. In the end, it was the most curious Yu Zian who did some psychological preparation. He felt that as the young master's right-hand man, it was necessary for him to solve the young master's problems and solve the problem. Then he went to Hua Chenhuan and asked, "Young master, have you encountered any trouble recently?" Hua Chenhuan faintly glanced at him, which made Yu Zian's scalp numb, and his back felt a little cold. But soon Hua Chenhuan moved his gaze away from him, revealing a thoughtful expression. "You've dated several girlfriends before." Huh? Yu Zian didn't expect him to suddenly ask about this. He was stunned for a moment before he hurriedly said, "Yes, yes, yes. I've dated a few girlfriends. For girls, a man who works hard is the most handsome." "Is that true?" Yu Zian's eyes widened and he was stumped again. Hua Chenhuan saw that he didn't answer. She frowned and was a little unhappy. "Is this question difficult to answer?" "No, no, no." Yu Zian seemed to wake up from a dream and hurriedly said, "It's true." "Is it true?" "Yes, because a man who works hard is actually working hard to support his family. Which woman doesn't want her man to work hard and earn more money to run a good family and earn money for milk powder for her baby?" "Earn money from milk powder?" Hua Chenhuan's eyes lit up. He liked this method. Yu Zian saw the joy in Hua Chenhuan's eyes. Suddenly, he had an idea and said considerately, "Get up." Young master and young madam have been married for so long, but young madam hasn't come to our company. You know, there are many fans of young master Rao in our company, and fans of you and young master Rao being a couple. You're our employees, after all. Giving out some benefits occasionally is good for everyone to work better and create more value for the company. Do you want to invite young madam to the company?" Hua Chenhuan heard Yu Zian's words and glanced at him appreciatively. Yan Yan has delivered food to the company's employees several times before. More than that. Now the ultimate reward for every department is young Master Rao's medicinal cuisine. Everyone is dying for it. Hua Chenhuan nodded with satisfaction. "I'll leave this to you. Remember, restrain the company's employees. They can only watch from afar and don't get too close." Chapter 600. Yu Zian's expression went blank for a moment. "Wait, you and young madam have been married for a long time. Why are you pushing this onto me?" When he heard the second half of the sentence, the corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. "Don't worry, I'll definitely restrain the employees in the company. I won't let them scare young madam." Hua Chenhuan nodded in satisfaction and asked Yu Zian to quickly think of a way to lure them over. Yu Zian, who had taken on a big task for himself. "I feel wronged, but I'm not going to cry." When Yu Zian called Su Yiyen, she was out shopping with Qing Shuqin to buy gifts for Qin Shueru. "Zian? What's the matter?" "Ahem, young madam, it's like this. Isn't our company very busy recently? There are a lot of things to do, and young master's appetite isn't very good. He didn't eat much at noon and didn't eat anything at night. We can't go on like this. What do you think? Before Hua Chenhuan recovered, Yu Zian and the other two would always have one person by his side in case he needed them. When Su Yiyen found out about this, she asked the three of them to help her keep an eye on Hua Chenhuan. She asked him to eat properly and not to fool her. Even though Hua Chenhuan had recovered, this tradition was still maintained. Therefore, Su Yiyen didn't suspect anything when Yu Zian told her this. Her face darkened slightly as she said, "He didn't eat much all day? Didn't the medicinal cuisine restaurant send anything over?" Yu Zian felt that Su Yiyen's tone was a little strange, but he still braced himself and said, "They did send something over, but young master ate very little." Su Yiyen was silent for a while before she said faintly, "I understand. I'll go over later." Yu Zian couldn't help but let out a long breath when he heard that she was coming. "Okay, let me know when you arrive. I'll go down to pick you up." "Yes." Yu Zian managed to complete the difficult task given to him by his superior without any mishap. He was relieved and excited at the same time. As soon as he opened his WeChat account, he began to show off. "Young madam will be coming to the head office soon. I wonder if she'll bring us some supper." After that, he even sent a picture of him waiting to be eaten, which successfully blew up the other two people in the group. "What did you do to lure young madam over?" "Previously, when our rival company caused trouble for young madam, we all contributed. Even if young madam wants to reward us based on our contributions, she should share it equally. Why should she let you monopolize it?" Yu Zian silently admired the ugly faces of the two men, who were full of envy and jealousy, and happily broke their beautiful expectations. "You're thinking too much. Young madam came to the head office because young master didn't have a good appetite today. She was worried and specially came to take a look. He'll probably even bring some things over. To put it nicely, he'll be delivering food." When Gu Xiaoyang saw Yu Zian's reply, he found it hard to believe. Young master didn't have a good appetite today? Young master's 3 meals are all delivered by young master Ru Nai personally. Occasionally, when he's lucky, young madam will cook for him personally. How can he have a bad appetite when it's so delicious? Of course, it's not that he has a bad appetite. Yu Zian quickly explained the whole story to the two men. "Gu Xiaoyang, Zui Yanbai, what's with your reactions?" "Gu Xiaoyang. I suspect that you're playing with fire." "Zui Yanbai. I suspect that you're courting death." Chapter 601. Yu Zian didn't think he had done anything wrong, so he said unhappily, "How am I playing with fire? Young madam is most concerned about young master's health. Let's not say that he has a bad appetite. Should I say that young master fainted from working overtime?" Gu Xiaoyang, Zui Yanbai, the two of them fell silent again. After about half a minute, Gu Xiaoyang sent another message. "Does young master have a good appetite today? Or does he have a bad appetite?" "He's fine." "Did young master eat the food that young madam sent to him?" "Yes, he ate all of it." "Oh," Yu Zian frowned. "What do you mean by oh?" Gu Xiaoyang stopped talking, but Zui Yanbai asked, "Are you still thinking that if young madam brought enough food for young master and he can't finish it all, you can still get some leftovers?" Yu Zian, whose thoughts were exposed, young madam specially brought food for young master. "Do you think young master will share it with you?" "You're dreaming." Zui Yanbai didn't say anything after this sarcastic remark. After that, Yu Zian tried to poke the two of them for a long time, but they ignored him. He had no choice but to give up and pass this message to the employees of the head office. "You is not a fish, urgent notice. Urgent notice. All departments, please take note that boss's wife will be visiting the head office in a while. Pay attention to your image and work hard. Don't slack off, and don't stupidly rush in front of madam and scare her. Violators will be fired immediately. All department heads, please restrain your employees. They can only watch from afar and not get close. Also, they can only watch from afar and not get close." As soon as Yu Zian sent this message, the company's group chat immediately became lively. Several department heads immediately jumped out and said that they would restrain their employees and never let them offend Madam. The other employees also hurriedly expressed their loyalty and said that they would be obedient and never run in front of Madam and disturb her. However, some people were still a little excited and asked tentatively. Technical department head, well, I'm Madam's loyal fan. It's rare for Madam to come to the company. Can I take a picture with Madam while no one is around? Shy. JPG, as soon as these words were sent out, they were immediately condemned by all the employees in the company. Big sister of the planning department, idiot? What are you talking about? You even took a picture with Madam when no one was around. What do you want to do to Madam? First brother of the technical department, horrified face, what the hell? I just want to take a photo with young Madam. Don't harm me. Donut from publicity department, who cares about harming you? You said that you had to find a time when there was no one around to take a photo. Are you plotting something against Madam? Or was he preparing to rebel and secretly ask for a photo with Madam? No matter which one it is, you're dead. The guy from the technical department? He really just wanted to take a photo with Madam when no one was around to show off to his 3 aunts and 6 aunts, as well as those distant cousins that he only saw a few times a year. Why did they twist his meaning like this? Reality had proven that it was better for little brothers with low EQ to not speak. Once they spoke, they would easily offend a large group of people and become the public enemy. Yuzian had just gone to the washroom. When he came back, he saw the rows of messages in the group chat condemning a certain someone. The corners of his mouth twitched. You is not a fish, you can take a photo, but you can't run up to her and take a photo with her. You can only take it from afar. Please note that you can only take it from afar. Chapter 602. With the jealous nature of their young master, if he really sent a bunch of people to take a photo with Madam, their lives would be in danger. Fortunately, these people were quite cooperative. They knew that Madam Boss was their company's treasure and many of them depended on her benefits. If he really scared someone and got chased out of the company, Baldy would never be able to save himself. That would be truly hopeless. Thinking of this, the people who were originally a little disappointed that they couldn't take a photo with Madam Boss decisively threw this matter to the back of their minds and started to flatter Madam Boss in the group. At first, everyone was more restrained, but this restraint didn't last long. When Su Yiyen appeared in front of the company building with a thermos, it completely disappeared. Beautiful receptionist, all departments, please take note. Madam is here, Madam is here, Madam is here. Important things must be repeated 3 times, everyone take it seriously. Hua Chenhuan clicked into the company group to see if Yuzian had notified everyone in place. The way she shouted, people who didn't know better would think that a bandit had come to rob their company. Lady at the front desk, Madam is wearing a light yellow dress today and is carrying a white thermos. She looks super cute. Hua Chenhuan. Why are you looking at my wife so carefully? Is the receptionist of their company so free? The receptionist, who had no idea that she had been targeted by the big boss, felt a chill down her spine and shivered. These 2 messages were like a drop of water in a pot of boiling oil. In an instant, everyone in the group began to enthusiastically urge the girl at the front desk to quickly report the situation up ahead. Unfortunately, the receptionist was already overwhelmed by the joy of seeing Madam Boss with her own eyes. How could she think of reporting to others? About 5 minutes later, the 2 missing receptionists finally reappeared. Lady at the front desk, "Aw, Madam is so beautiful, so gentle, so polite. Her skin is super good up close, there are no pores at all." Pillar of the publicity department, Madam is only in her early 20s this year, isn't it normal for her to have good skin? Flower of the technical department, a girl in her early 20s who works overtime every night, her skin is a mess. I'm offended. Secretary Big Bro, eh? Why is it only you? Where's May? The lady at the front desk, just now, Madam shook hands with May. She was very gentle and told her that it was hard on her to work overtime. Beauty leaned on the front desk and laughed foolishly. She didn't wash her hands for a week. First sister of the publicity department, what the F***CK, are the front desk's benefits so good? Finger to finger, I also want to shake hands with Madam. Big brother of the technical department, if I can shake hands with Madam, I definitely won't wash my hands for a month, idiot. JPG, the receptionist. Do you want to die? How dare you have designs on Madam? Are you going to be punished by the boss? Technology department flower, that's right. Even if she wants to shake hands, Madam will only shake hands with us girls. You stinky men should get lost. Pillar of the publicity department, why? This is sexism. The head of the secretary department, just because Madam belongs to boss, if you have the guts, go up to boss and try shaking hands with Madam. Let's see if you can still see the sun tomorrow. All the male employees, Yuzian, who had been peeking at the group chat while he was picking up young Madam. No wonder young master specifically emphasized that these people were not allowed to get close to young Madam. If they were allowed to do as they pleased, these people would definitely swarm over and eat young Madam up. Chapter 603. Su Yiyen noticed Yuzian's odd behavior. She looked at him quizzically and asked softly, "What's wrong?" Ahem. Yuzian hurriedly hid his phone so that Su Yiyen wouldn't see the content. It's okay. I'll take you upstairs to see young master. Su Yiyen didn't suspect anything. She thought about how her husband might be hungry, so she quickly carried the thermos and followed Yuzian upstairs. Although Hua Xiaoheng, whom Su Yiyen thought was hungry, was sitting in his office, his mind had already drifted downstairs. Su Yiyen had already arrived at the Hua Corporation. Hua Xiaoheng knew exactly where she was and where she was going from the company's discussions. However, when Su Yiyen appeared in front of his office, Hua Chenhuan put on a perfect act. She asked in surprise, "Why are you here?" "I heard that you've been very busy lately and haven't been eating much, so I made some of your favorite dishes. They're still warm even in the box, so eat them while they're hot." Hua Chenhuan, who had just had dinner not long ago. After a brief moment of confusion, Hua Chenhuan's sharp eyes suddenly landed on Yuzian. Yuzian was startled. He finally realized that he had gotten himself into trouble. Su Yiyen mistakenly thought that Hua Chenhuan was angry because Yuzian had tipped her off, so she hurriedly stood up for him. "Don't scare him. I told him to keep an eye on you because I was worried that you wouldn't eat properly." Hua Xiaoheng didn't expect that she would actually catch him red-handed. Su Yiyen looked at Hua Chenhuan disapprovingly. She seemed to be saying, "You're already so willful after just getting a little better. Have I been spoiling you too much?" Hua capricious Chenhuan, who had suddenly become the scapegoat, was speechless. He wanted his wife to see how handsome he looked when he was working, not to be lectured. Hua Chenhuan opened his mouth to defend himself, but Su Yiyen did not give him the chance. "I specially brought your favorite kung pao chicken, lobster, and some vegetables. The soup is old duck soup that I started boiling in the afternoon. You've been working overtime recently. You need to make up for it before you go back to school." When Yuzian heard these dishes from behind, his Adam's apple couldn't help but move up and down. Boo-hoo, he was hungry. Su Yiyen didn't notice that he was crying piteously for food. He put the insulated box on the table at the side of the office and opened the lid. The aroma of the dishes and soup suddenly rushed out and filled half of the office. Yuzian's stomach let out a disappointing growl. It wasn't loud, but it stood out in the empty and quiet office. Su Yiyen instinctively looked up at him, but Hua Chenhuan narrowed his eyes dangerously. Before Su Yiyen could speak, he asked in a deep voice, "Why are you still here?" The disdain and dissatisfaction in his words couldn't be more obvious. Yuzian trembled all over and said wisely, "I'll leave now. I'll leave now." He could eat again next time, but if he lost his life, he would really lose it. Yu Zian quickly left Hu Chenhuan's office like he was sprinting 100 meters. Before he left, he considerately helped the two of them close the door. Hu Chenhuan's expression finally improved when he saw that he and Su Yiyan were the only ones left in the huge office. Just as he was about to sit down, he heard Su Yiyan mutter regretfully, "Why did he leave so quickly? I brought quite a lot today. I originally wanted to ask him to stay and eat with us. Since he's gone, you're responsible for eating all of it. Don't waste it." Hu Chenhuan. Chapter 604. Hu Chenhuan looked at the 3 dishes, a box of soup, and a big bowl of white rice on the table. His stomach, which was about 80% full, suddenly started to hurt. He silently made a mental note to punish someone. Yu Zian, who had been chased out with an empty stomach, felt his nose itch and sneezed on the spot. Then, he hugged his chest and shivered. He had a bad feeling about this. In order to divert attention, Hu Chenhuan took the initiative to change the topic. "Just now, downstairs, did our company's employees do anything strange?" "Strange things?" Su Yiyan thought for a moment. "No, your company's employees are very nice and enthusiastic." Hu Chenhuan. It was because they were too enthusiastic that he was worried. Before Hu Chenhuan could continue, Su Yiyan pushed the food in front of him and said with a smile, "Zian, I heard that you didn't eat much at noon and you didn't eat much at night. You must be hungry now, right? Hurry up and eat." Hu Chenhuan met his wife's concerned eyes and couldn't refuse. He took the lunchbox from Su Yiyan and ate in silence. Su Yiyan saw him like this and thought that he really didn't have much of an appetite. She secretly planned to cook a few more dishes for him tomorrow. After eating a few mouthfuls, Hu Chenhuan looked at the table full of food that was about to go into his stomach, and his stomach hurt even more. After hesitating for a moment, he suddenly raised his head and looked at Su Yiyan. He coughed softly and asked, "Are you hungry?" "I'm okay. I ate before I came. Eat with me again. It's more appetizing to eat with 2 people." Before Su Yiyan could refuse, Hu Chenhuan took a third of his rice and instantly felt the burden on his shoulders lighten. Su Yiyan was indeed a little hungry. She had been thinking about delivering food to Hu Chenhuan and rushed over after a few mouthfuls. However, considering Hu Chenhuan's appetite, she didn't want to steal his food. She thought that she could go back first and have supper later. Su Yiyan saw that Hu Chenhuan really didn't want to eat. After hesitating for a moment, she took the half bowl of rice and said, "Okay, I'll eat with you." Hu Chenhuan felt relieved. She put down her chopsticks and began to peel the prawns. "Hurry up and eat. I'll peel the prawns for you." Su Yiyan was slightly startled. "No need, I'll do it myself." "You should hurry up and eat too. Let's peel them first before eating. It won't make a difference." He peeled them slowly so that he could buy some time to digest what he had eaten before. Su Yiyan saw that he insisted and didn't say anything else. Occasionally, when he put the peeled prawns in her bowl, Su Yiyan would try to feed him in reverse. She didn't know whether it was Hu Chenhuan's delaying method or his beauty that worked. The food that someone fed him personally was particularly delicious. Hu Chenhuan actually ate more than half of the food that Su Yiyan brought, especially the box of duck soup. Most of it went into his stomach. The consequence of eating too much was that Hu Chenhuan inevitably felt bloated. After standing up, he didn't want to sit down. If Su Yiyan hadn't been present, he would have gone out for a walk to digest the food. Fortunately, Su Yiyan's eyelids had begun to droop, so she didn't notice his subtle discomfort. "Are you tired?" Hu Chenhuan saw her tiredness. He frowned slightly and sat beside her to give her a hug. Su Yiyan leaned into his arms. "A little. I went out with Mom in the afternoon and bought some things to send to Aunt and the others. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.